Hi everyone, welcome back to the Property Finance Podcast. So as you'll know, recently in June, I turned 30. And as part of that, we had a massive social media campaign over the previous 30 days where I gave 30 business lessons that I've learned over my very short time in business, about 8 years. So what I want to do is I want to go through each of those as a podcast. So we'll kind of cover 10 per podcast. So it's probably end up being a 3-part podcast. But my thinking is that we put so much content out over the last 30 days that actually my following on the podcast is so much better than my following on Facebook, Instagram, etc. It made sense to kind of put it out as a podcast as well, because I'm sure there's people who haven't necessarily followed it on social media. So just a couple of minutes, literally per lesson, just quick fire. And yeah, we'll do this in sort of 3 parts, I think. So my first one was understand your market. So this post was all around understanding who you're going for, who is your target audience, who are you targeting for sales, etc. So for me, the big thing was we have niched out as creative commercial finance brokers. So we do deals that not many other people would be able to pull off. So we niched out, we knew our market was first-time developers and creative finance, and we niched out into those 2 markets pretty quickly and grew them pretty substantially to a point that we were happy with. And it went through quite a process to get to that point. We had to go through and understand, well, actually, what are other brokers doing? What are they niching out into? Where is there a market that not many people tap into? And first-time developers was a huge one because not many people would tap into first-time developers. They didn't see it as a particularly lucrative market. They saw it as a market that, well, not many people want to deal with this, so we'll just leave it to someone else. So we tapped into that, and it was a relatively untapped market for us to get access to. Then on the creative deals side of things, we again had a number of developers and investors who wanted to do creative deals. They wanted to do things that other people couldn't achieve, but they were going to brokers who, again, just wanted vanilla deals and wanted to be able to get those deals through as quickly as possible. So again, we tapped into that market where we were going in for something that not many other people had sort of wanted to go for. So 2 relatively unloved markets, and yeah, niched out into those, and our market has grown substantially since then. So yeah, we got a really good understanding of what we wanted to niche out into and stuck to that as well, and we have done for the last 5 years. The second lesson that I put out was around valuing your customers. So it's all well and good winning customers, but actually valuing them is a completely different thing. And each customer that comes to you, each client that comes to you, they need to understand that they are the best thing since sliced bread. They are the only thing that matters. No matter how many clients you've got, you might have 10, 20, 30, 50, whatever, but each client needs to individually feel like they are the most important thing in your day. So for us, a big thing was ensuring that, yes, we're taking on a lot of first-time developers. Yes, we're taking on a lot of creative deals, but we still need to give those the love, the care, the attention that they deserve. So a big one for me was valuing each of our customers, and hopefully customers who are listening to this, clients who are listening to this, hopefully they have felt that they have been valued throughout the entire process. And we have a lot of returning business, which I think is a big testament to that, valuing your clients and customers, because without that, they're not going to come back. They're going to go somewhere else. And that goes for any service related business. Sourcing, for example, if you're a sourcer, you need to value those clients that are coming to you. You need to ensure that the builder is on time. You need to ensure that the project is project managed to its utmost best. There needs to be that value of, you are the customer, you are right, you are the most important thing to me. And it goes for any business. Then lesson number 3 was adapting to change. We have been through a lot as a business, as many businesses have been. We've been through COVID, we've been through the Ukraine war, we've been through obviously some rather interesting economic times. So adapting to change for us has always been a big one. So at every possible opportunity, we've had to adapt, whether that's been letting staff go, whether that's been taking more staff on, whether that's been taking on new technology, whether that's been getting rid of technology that we no longer need. We've always had to adapt as quickly as possible. But one thing that we have never changed is what our client base is and what our niche is. As I said previously, we have niched into that first-time developer and creative finance market, and we've never adapted that. We didn't get involved in the CBILS facilities. We didn't see ourselves as wanting to be involved in that for numerous different reasons. I just ethically and morally didn't want to be involved in that. The fees that some brokers have charged on CBILS and bounce back loans, etc., have just been ludicrous and ridiculous. So that was one point. We could have adapted to change. We could have seen an opportunity in the market to make a lot of money, but we decided to stick with our moral compass and what we'd niched into and stuck with that. So yeah, adapting to change is a massive thing. And as we move into an industry that is fairly shortly going to be dominated by AI, I would imagine, we need to make sure that we adapt to that as well. And we need to make sure that we understand the latest sort of technological changes and that sort of thing. That brings me nicely on to lesson 4, which was innovate continuously. We, I believe, have always been ahead of the curve on most things. So we were the first commercial finance broker to release a podcast, as far as I'm aware. We were one of the first commercial finance brokers to get into the networking space. There's been a lot of different things that we've innovated around that. So innovation is key. I mean, a lot of these tech companies, the reason they are the size they are is because they are continuously innovating. They don't release the same product and then stick with that throughout the entire course of their business. So we've always tried to bring something fresh, but we've always kept it, again, I'm going to keep harping on about these niches, but we've always tried to keep everything we've innovated as benefiting first-time developers and creative finance. So anything we do, whether it be podcasts, whether it be new products, whether it be bring on new staff, whether it be whatever, everything is always around innovating to ensure that first-time developers and people who want to do creative deals are in the best possible position to move forward and do as many deals as possible. Lesson number 5, I covered effective leadership, which is not something that I've ever been great at. I've never been a great leader. I've never sort of come in and gone, right, this is how we do it. This is what everyone's got to do. I've always been very much a yes man. Very much okay, that's how you want to do it. Well, let's give that a go, which some people may see as leadership because they may see it as enabling people to grow into their own space. But from my perspective, I've never looked at myself and said, you are a leader, you are good at leadership. That's never been something I've done. So that is one of the lessons I've learned over the last 8 years, is that I need to become a more effective leader. I need to be better at setting the direction of the business. I need to be better at delegating, right, you do this, you do that, right, this is where the business is going, this is the 5-year plan of the business, this is the 10-year plan of the business, this is my expansion plan, this is what I want to do over the next 3 months, etc. So it's all about setting those short-term visions and long-term visions, and it's something that I really have struggled with over the last 8 years, and I made that very clear in the post that I did as well, that it is something that I absolutely need to get better at. And that also brings me on to lesson number 6, which is financial management, which, again, no one's particularly good with money these days. But in the business we are in, commercial finance brokering, we don't have that guaranteed income. Everything is always reliant on solicitors working quickly and effectively, valuers working quickly and effectively, clients working quickly and effectively. There is no way of cash flowing a commercial finance brokerage. There just isn't, because you are fully reliant on everyone in the chain doing what they should be, which never happens. So one of the big things that we've had to do is we've had to become very, very good at planning out, right, okay, we've got X amount in the pipeline. We then need to set percentages to each of those, right, okay, 10% of those might drop off, 30% might drop off, whatever the figure is. And we've built that all within our CRM system. So actually we haven't cash flowed directly, but we've managed to cash flow to a degree what we're going to do. And we have sort of a fairly good idea, right, okay, over the next 3 months, we're going to have X amount complete. Over the next 6 months, we're going to have X amount complete. So there's been a little bit more, but it is something that I'm constantly adapting to and something that I'm constantly learning. When it comes to financial management on the development side, there's obviously that management of drawdowns, ensuring that you've got all your cash flow sorted out, ensuring that you've got essentially a full financial plan for the entire development. And actually, weirdly, I've become better at doing that than I have financially planning out my own business. So it's one of those where you just have skills that you are better at. And for me, being able to sort of cash flow out of development is far easier for me than being able to cash flow my own business. So financial management is definitely something that I need to push forward with and get better at. Then it comes to lesson number 8, which is all around embracing technology. So we have recently taken on some new sourcing software, which has been a bit of a game changer. I'm still torn as to whether or not it's the right thing for us, but it's been a game changer in that when you work in residential mortgages and buy-to-let mortgages particularly, there is sourcing software where you can put a few numbers in and it churns out, right, this lender will do X, Y, Z, very much a tick box exercise. With commercial finance, there's never really been anything like that. And it's always very much been, on development finance, because there are so many nuances within development finance, you've always sort of got to go out and speak to each of the lenders individually. Right, okay, you do that, you do that. Are you going to be all right doing this? There's something a bit creative here. Is that something you're going to do? So we've kind of had to rely heavily on ourselves rather than technology. Bringing in this new sourcing software on a very basic level, because it doesn't deal with the nuances of creative finance. It doesn't deal with, is there a deferred payment? Is there XYZ, any credit issues in the background? Is the contractor not particularly experienced? First-time developers, that kind of thing. It doesn't cover any of that. But for a vanilla development deal, it means we can now plug in some numbers and get a approximate idea of what the numbers are going to be. So we've embraced some of that technology as it's moved forward. It's still very much in its infancy, and I really don't know whether it's going to work or not. I haven't made up my mind on it yet, but it is something that is there, and it is enabling us to move a little bit quicker for some clients as well. So it has been good in that regard. The other technology that we embrace, obviously, are all of the latest CRM softwares and things like that, but also all of the latest changes to social media, that sort of thing. So I kind of encompass that within technology as well as any changes on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, LinkedIn. LinkedIn have just recently brought in their own Reels feature. So again, we've kind of embraced that, and we're now looking at putting short video format onto LinkedIn as well now, which is obviously going to be a bonus as well. Lesson number 9. So building a strong brand. This is probably the biggest one for me. This is something that I've done over the past 5 to 8 years, is focus purely on building a brand where people understand, right, Michael is the go-to guy for first-time developers. He's the go-to guy for creative finance. He's the go-to guy for stuff that other people just can't do. And we kind of built that back in November 2018 when I set up the Property Finance Guy. That was always the plan, was always to have a brand that people just looked at and went, you are the go-to guy for this. In terms of building the brand, obviously the website was key. For me, social media and the podcast, this, have been massive for building the brand. So all of the content that goes out is all driven towards providing the highest quality of information, the most reliable source of information. And also, now that the course is free on YouTube, have a look at the Property Finance Guy or Michael Primrose on YouTube, and you will find our Property Finance Academy course is now on YouTube. That's gone out for free. It's all about building that brand of Michael puts out free information. Michael will give you the time. Michael will do this. Michael will do that. All about building that brand. And so, yeah, we went from guy to collective as more of us kind of came into the team. And it's just been important for me to kind of keep that brand, keep that synergy, and yeah, make sure everyone understands that we are the go-to for creative finance and first-time developers. Then the last one for part 1, so the 10th lesson, is learn from failure. And this is something that I wasn't very good at, but I've become very good at, which is learning from things that just have gone completely wrong. And it may not be things that are your fault. I've had JVs that have gone horrifically wrong. As I've spoken about on previous podcasts, I've had, I think, 3 JVs now that have gone wrong. I'm into my 4th one, which hopefully should be all right, and touch wood is going all right at the minute. I've had business decisions that I've made that have been terrible. I've bought cars that I shouldn't have bought, invested in staff that I shouldn't have invested in, not invested in staff that I should have invested in. So there's a lot of mistakes that I've made over the years. And for me, learning from those has been a massive thing. We are now a team of 4. That is a deliberate decision that has been made because I have learned from having the team of 13, 14 people that it was just too many, that it just didn't work. I have learned from that we need to scale the team back, that 4 is perfect. That is a good sized team. We can deal with a lot of inquiries within the 4 of us with our skill sets. So yeah, a lot of that learning has taken place, and it's taken a long time to get to that point. And one of the things I think I mentioned in the post was sort of don't beat yourself up about if something goes wrong, because inevitably everything is going to go wrong at some point. There is going to be no business in the world is perfect. No business in the world has never made a mistake. So you can't beat yourself up about those failures. You just have to learn, move on to the next thing. And it's taken me a long time to get to that point, but most definitely one of the biggest lessons that I learned, I think. So that's the end of part 1. Join us for part 2, where I'll talk through lessons 11 to 20. And yeah, thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.